Good evening. This is Ken Carpenter saying welcome to the world premiere of the new Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman show, The Halls of Ivy, sponsored by the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company, brewers of Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. And now, The Halls of Ivy.
That surround us here today, and we will not forget, though we be far, far away.
Welcome to Ivy, the town of Ivy and Ivy College. Ivy College is coeducational and non-sectarian, and its age is indicated by the fact that until recently, the curriculum required 2 years of Greek. Ivy is all American. Its student body is a pretty fair cross-section of our country's youthful seekers of knowledge. Dr. William Todd Hunter Hall, Ph.D., LL.D., and M.A., is president of Ivy, at least until the end of the month. His reappointment is under discussion now by the Board of Governors, now meeting in the East Wing of the library.
I have to catch the 4 o'clock train back to town.
We used to get a $20 gold.
I hope you can make it for the weekend.
Gentlemen,
I really do.
Gentlemen, we have one more item of business on our agenda, and an important one. It concerns the reappointment of Dr. Hall as president.
Hardly a matter for controversy. He's made it fine, President. Shouldn't take long.
Gentlemen.
Of course not.
It seems to me, as chairman of this board, that Dr. Hall's record is so eminently satisfactory that there can be no serious obstacle in the way of his confirmation. His 6 years of service has... Mr. Wellman?
Yes. What about Mrs. Hall?
Mrs. Hall is the nicest woman on the campus.
Anything else to worry about?
Gentlemen, Gentlemen. What about Mrs. Hall, Mr. Wellman?
Well, I've nothing against the lady personally, but it seems to me that, I mean, this is hearsay, of course, and I don't ordinarily pay much attention to student gossip.
Will you please get to the point, Mr. Wellman, if there is one?
There is one. To put it bluntly, there is some doubt in my mind whether a man whose wife is an ex-actress and a musical comedy actress at that is the right woman. I mean, if he is the right man to be president of a college like Ivy with a conservative tradition. The tradition of this college is to have a domestic... I don't know who you're talking about. That's why we have conservative.
Gentlemen, please. Mr. Wellman has raised a point which, however seriously it should be taken, does have a bearing on Dr. Hall's reappointment. My personal feeling, for your information, is that Mrs. Hall's charm and sympathy for and with the younger element is a definite advantage to Dr. Hall's work. This is one opinion. You may hold contrary ones. But I should like to confine the discussion to a period of 1/2 hour. At that time, we will vote for or against reappointment. Mr. Merriweather?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not an Ivy alumnus. I just happen to be a filthy, rich, old man who's dropped some fairly large sums of money on your campus.
Wait a minute, Merriweather. The dignity of this college...
Dignity, my foot.
Gentlemen. If you please, gentlemen. Order, please. May I remind you that appointing a president of this college is a serious matter, and any pertinent discussion should also be serious. The question of Dr. Hall's fitness and the character of his family...
Toddy, dear, must you pace back and forth like that, like a hyena in the zoo?
A hyena? That's a rather rude comparison, Victoria. A hyena is a nasty animal. If we must be zoological, let me be something a little more noble. A tiger.
A lion. That's what you are, the king of the beasts.
Well, thank you.
And like a lion, you must be brave, dear.
My dear woman, bravery in a college president, even in a former college president...
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, it could happen. But as I was saying, bravery in a college president is a superfluous virtue. And practically the only virtue not absolutely required. If the governors of this college... What do you suppose they're doing at their wretched board meeting? Playing parcheesi?
Temper, Toddy, temper. Successful college presidents never lose their tempers.
I know. And, will you please try not to call me Toddy, even in these sacred precincts. Someday you'll use it in front of some eager young beaver in the School of Journalism, and 3 weeks later they'll find me at my desk with a hole in my head and a smoking pistol in my hand.
I'll try, dear. I know what the cheerleaders would do with it, too. Tell me, how do they notify you that you are to be booked for another term?
Booked is hardly the word, Victoria. I am not a juggling act.
Well, we all have our professional phrases, dear. Sometimes...
Well, here it is. Te morituris salutami.
What does that mean?
It means, here's mud in your eye from we who are about to be reappointed or not. Latin.
Well, let's get it over with. I'll let them in. You be busily reading your fan mail or something.
Hello, Mrs. Hall. Gee, I'm glad you're home. Can you give me a few minutes?
Well, frankly, Pushy, it is rather an awkward time. But what's the trouble?
No, it's that waltz clog I'm doing in the Junior Follies. I can't seem to remember it. Would you brush me up a little?
Ask them in, Victoria.
Yes, dear. Come in, Pushy. It's Pushy Morgan.
Gee, I'm sorry to bother you all the time, Mrs. Hall. But the way you explain things are clear as crystal. And when I get up at rehearsal, Oh, hello, Dr. Hall.
Hello, Morgan. Did you bring a message from the Board of Governors?
No, sir, I don't.
No, I've been trying to teach him a dance for the Junior Follies, William. A waltz clog. He wants to brush up a bit.
Really? Now?
Yes, sir.
Well, pull that rug aside, Pushy, while I put a record on. What were we using?
The sidewalks of New York, remember?
Am I in the way?
Oh, certainly not, dear. Just stand over there by the piano. Pushy has an unfortunate habit of flinging his feet sideways. It makes for a very loose line in the chorus. Now, watch. See? Don't toss yourself about too much. Contain yourself. Economical movement. Move the shoulders as little as possible. Now try it.
Gee, it sure looks easy when you do it. Well, okay.
No. Hold it, Pushy. Stop the music, will you please, William?
Gladly. May I say, Morgan, I don't think you do too badly.
Well, thank you, sir. Oh, I know I'm no Fred Astaire, but Mrs. Hall is a wonderful teacher. What was I doing wrong, Mrs. Hall?
Well, your balance is all wrong, Pushy.
Oh.
Watch how I shift my weight. See? Now, here's what you're doing.
Oh, I think I see what you mean. Look, more like this, huh?
Now you're getting it. You just practice and practice and practice. Try to think of your upper body and arms wrapped up like a mummy. Be tight.
Oh, I get it. I think I know now. Oh, thanks, Mrs. Hall. This is going to be the best show we ever had, Doctor.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, Morgan. Are you one of the leads?
He is the lead, William. He sings even better than he dances.
Oh, I'd better. This whole thing scares me to death. When I think of opening night and me doing the waltz clog in front of all those people, gee, I'd almost rather be back in Okinawa. Almost, that is.
Okinawa? Were you...
Yes, he was, dear. Now, you keep practicing, Pushy, and we'll get to work on that third act scenery day after tomorrow.
Okay. And thanks a lot, Mrs. Hall. With you helping us, this thing is really in the bag. Bye, Doctor.
A good day, Morgan. Remember, wrapped up like a mummy.
I'm sorry I interrupted your question, Toddy, but Pushy doesn't talk much about his war experience. He has the Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, Silver Star, and a few other things, you know.
No, I didn't know. I'm glad to hear about it. I'm inclined to lose sight of the fact that these are not all youngsters under my care. When I... Oh, here, let me help.
Pull the rug over a bit, will you, dear?
Over here?
A little bit more. There.
Right.
That's it. Now, what were you saying?
What was I... Oh, yes, this reappointment.
You do want to be reappointed, don't you, Toddy? I mean, William.
Yes, I do. And largely on account of boys like Pushy Morgan. When I address the student body or any part of it, I can see how the world has moved since I went to college myself. In my day, we went to college for fun and to fill in a few years between high school and making a